Welcome back to the F3 Northeast Wake Q Source podcast. I'm your host, Blake Anderson, Monty Pitt. Glad to be back here with you again. And if you're turning pages today, we are in Quadrant 3, Chapter Q3.2, Mutual Competence in the Q Source book. You'll notice I'm rolling solo for this episode. And this is a topic that I absolutely love. You know, I've been in the Northeast Wake community for about 3 years now, and you know, I came because of the workout and the time and how it fit with my day, but I've stayed because of the community, and I've stayed because of the mission. And the mission of F3 is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for the invigoration of male community leadership. And this Q-Source material is all about that. It's about equipping you as a leader, for you to be a leader in your community, and for you to make a difference and have an impact. And now we're kind of in the meat of the book. We're really talking about leadership, how to lead people, how to form teams. And I really believe that if you're going to do anything great in this world, that you're not going to do it alone. You're going to need help. You're going to need help from people that you can trust, who bring things to the table that you maybe don't have. And this section of the book is really about team formation, creating powerful teams. And I appreciate everybody who's been a part of the conversation thus far, and it's great to get to know each other. But you know, ultimately, we want to be equipped to make a difference and be able to take a team to do something greater. And I think it was really on display this year with some of our third F initiatives, whether it's been the way we've cleaned up done the Adopt a Highway and showed up in mass, or when we participated in the Widow Orphan program, or the Feminine Hygiene February. But we've really rallied together to do powerful things, and we do that through teams and our ability to form teams and work on teams together. And I really appreciate what Dredd has put together in this section of the book as it revolves around teams. And so the last chapter, Q 3.1, was shared leadership, and we have to do a quick recap of shared leadership to fully understand this chapter of mutual competence, because mutual competence is a criteria of shared leadership, and it's what makes shared leadership powerful. And so, you know, here's a quick quoting shared leadership, page 125. If you're in your book, Dredd says, by pooling their efforts, they greatly increase their likelihood of success, because each man can focus on the proper performance of his particular role rather than trying to do everything at once. You know, I love that old saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And that's really the importance of bringing a team together. But then Dredd's saying, if your team is going to be powerful, if your team is going to accomplish much, it's going to have to be one of shared leadership, where you bring other people onto the table and you empower them with responsibilities around their gifts, their talents, around this shared vision or goal that you want to accomplish, and not trying to do it alone. There's way too many people that think that you can be a solopreneur and be successful, or you can just be a lone wolf, and great things don't happen that way. They're going to need other team members, whether it's someone that's on your employee payroll, it's someone who's a business partner, or it's just a vendor to you in a project. We're still forming teams, and we have to be able to bring teams together, and we're going to have to be able to share the responsibilities and share the leadership to do great things. And so if you're taking notes on this one, I'm going to give you 4 books that have really kind of changed my life, that are perfect, you know, kind of the deep dives on shared leadership and mutual competence. And I think if you did nothing else the rest of the year, if you didn't read anything else but these 4 books, I guarantee you this time next year, your life would be different. Probably your income would be greater. You'd be having a greater impact in the world. And I have a feeling you'd be much more fulfilled. And so, you know, the first book that I want to bring up is John C. Maxwell's 17 Indisputable Laws of Teamwork. And the first law of teamwork is the law of significance. And Maxwell says that 1 is too small a number to achieve greatness, right? Let's be honest, right? It takes a team to do great things, and it takes a team that's sharing in the responsibilities, that's sharing in the workload. The 12th law of leadership in Maxwell's 21 indisputable law in irrefutable laws of leadership is the law of empowerment. And he quotes James Stockdale, and it says that great leaders gain authority by giving it away. Isn't that the kind of leader that we want to follow? Someone that empowers us, someone that will empower us and gives the authority and the responsibility over and entrusts the unique skill set and authority that we have in the place that we are. And that's what makes a team just start to expand and explode in its impact. The third book that is an absolute must read, we've brought up at the Q Source table a couple times. It's Turn the Ship Around, L. David Marquette. And a quote from this book says that leadership should mean giving control rather than taking control, and creating leaders rather than forging followers. This book is an absolute masterclass at empowering leaders around you, at really creating a shared leadership team up and down the chain of command. And we all need to really be able to do that and learn to do it well. It's the insecure leader who wants to hoard the authority and hoard the power and is afraid to ask people for help or give authority away for fear that it will make him or her seem less than. But it's the mature and the great leaders who are quick to empower others because they know that people are force multipliers. And the more I can get other people involved, the quicker what I'm doing can really expand. And, I just want to stop here and just kind of challenge you to think about your work, the things that you lead was in F3, volunteering, the teams that you have professionally. How quick are you to give authority away? How quick are you to give control away? How quick are you to bring people into the inner circle and empower them to be able to do things on your behalf? Do you feel like there's things that you're doing right now that may be you're hitting a roadblock, you're hitting a wall, that there should be more possible than there is? And I think if you've wondered or struggled with any one of those questions, I think it's time to really look yourself in the mirror as a leader and say, am I allowing other people to share the leadership? Am I empowering people around me? Am I taking the time to equip them where they can, where we could do great things together? And so Dredd says that shared leadership requires trust, which we'll get into more next week. That's the next chapter of the book. Shared virtue and mutual competence. So we have to have trust amongst each other. We have to have a shared virtue. We have to have a shared goal. We have to have something that we're trying to achieve together. And then there has to be some mutual competence. So now it's time to dive into this chapter. Mutual competence. That was a quick recap of shared leadership as we start to build a foundation and a dovetail launch into mutual confidence. And so there's a few quotes I just want to rattle off that just so hit the nail on the head in this book. And if you're in your paperback, it's 132. And Dredd says that the members of an SLT must be mutually competent in their application for it to effectively perform its mission of providing virtuous leadership to the larger group. Okay? They've got to be mutually competent. Each person in the team has got to be competent in what they're doing. He says without mutual competence, the SLT, shared leadership team, will be ineffective. So we have to share the leadership. We've got to share responsibility. We got to get other people involved. But we can't just get people involved because they want to be involved. You can't just get people involved because you know them. You've got to get people involved that bring something to the table, that bring a competence to the table. And they've got to be on the same level or close to running at the same level as the leader. Dredd goes on to say that mutual competence does not mean that the skill of every member of the team must be exactly or precisely equal. Okay? And he says that it is the Q's job to constantly equip the SLT's members so that the skill gap becomes progressively smaller. So everyone's got to have a skill and ability they bring to the table. They shouldn't be the same skill and ability, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But you don't have to get so worried about whether they're exact, whether everybody is the same. But it is the Q's responsibility to keep the team moving forward, to understand that the leader's got to be constantly equipping and empowering the team members. You make up the skill gap by taking time, investing time in the people on your team. And so you want to put people into their strengths where they can be playmakers in what they do. You know, you don't ask the wide receiver to get behind to get on the line to block for the running back, right? He can only be a wide receiver, but the leader of the team can continue to equip a wide receiver by investing in them, helping him run better routes, working on that coordination and timing between quarterback and wide receiver. So the leader continues to see the gifts and talents of the people on the team, but they've got to continue to support them in their growth. You see, some of you have stunted growth in your projects, in your businesses, and in your teams because you've got what Dredd calls a flesh anchor, a person who's weighting the boat, weighting the team down. And so you've got to constantly be looking for who's the flesh anchor on my team that I spend some time with investing. Now, there's certain people that you might just need to cut them loose because they're not bringing a competence to the team, and they don't have a desire to improve. But the people that desire to improve, it's amazing what you can get people to step into just with some investment in how they do their job, investment in the coordination of how they work with other team members, investment in them, and sometimes it's just them knowing that you believe in them, that they're empowered to make decisions on your behalf. And then on page 133, Dredd says that a leader must be individually competent to call his followers forth to mutual competence. And this should be no surprise because so much of the methodology and the principles behind the book is you always start by looking yourself in the mirror, right? I've got to get right first, and then I can live right, and then I can lead right, and then finally I can lead right? Like it starts with me. It starts on the inside. And so if you're a leader, you're always looking on the inside first, and you've got to be competent as a leader because people are not going to follow you very far if you're not good at what you do. And that kind of goes to the first law of leadership in Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership, and that's the law of the lid. And Maxwell basically says that, you know, everything rises and falls on leadership, and the leader is going to be the lid on the organization's, over the organization's head. And so as the leader grows in his leadership ability, the team can grow. When the leader stops growing in his or her leadership ability, the team's going to stop growing. So there's a couple things here. You have a role that you've got to play on your team. There's like a specific skill set and expertise that you have that you've got to be competent in. Your followers and team members got to see that you're good at what you do. And then the second thing is you've got to have leadership ability. I think we all know plenty of people who are excellent at their particular skill set but can't lead other people. And leadership is its own skill and its own skill set. And I think if you're going to work on any one skill set this year that you want to increase your income and your fulfillment, it would be your leadership. And no matter what your effectiveness is, whether it's, you know, coding or carpentry, you know, software development or investing, leadership is the skill that you can take to any one of those and continue to expand your horizons. So we create a team that's mutually competent, but I really want to spend the last part of this episode just putting it into action. That we get 3 specific action steps that if you'll just do these right now, then you can begin to see things change in your leadership and in your teams, and hopefully you see greater results quicker. And so these three steps real quick is number 1, you got to know yourself, right? Know thyself. Number 2, you got to surround yourself with competent people with complementary gifts, skills, experiences, and perspectives. And then third, you need to empower and equip the members of the team, right? So let's jump in a little bit more specifically. So first, know yourself. There's a book. Here's the other book that I would put on your reading list, 6 Types of Working Genius. Some of you have heard me talk about this. Author Patrick Lencioni. This is a life changer of a book. It's a game changer of a book. It'll change your teams and your work environment. And this book comes with a personality assessment. And it is the best personality assessment for work and for working teams. It's not about whether you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. It's not about whether you're funny or you're quiet. It's about the methodology says there's 6 different tasks and personality types that are required for a project to get done. And you're really only great at 2 of them, 2 others that you're okay at, and there's 2 that are absolute frustrations. And this helps you identify, like, what am I really great at? What is the competency that I bring to the table, right? And the greatest thing is, one, when you begin to know who you are and what you're great at. The other thing that is maybe as equally as important for you to know is what you're not, right? Like, you got to know what you're the best in the world at, what you bring to the table, and step in it and own that piece and be competent in it. And then that helps you know what you're not. And then you can make the table bigger and pull seats up to the table that invite people to join the table with you. So take this assessment. It's $25. I'll tell you a story. So we found this book probably about going on 4 years ago in my company. I'm a builder, real estate developer, and we have a team of 15 people. And it was an eye-opener. It confirmed what we believed about ourselves a lot of times, but it also started to help us understand each other. We began to understand what each person brought to the table, and we understood what they liked to do and what they hated to do. And it was amazing. There's another book, Good to Great, author Jim Collins. One of the kind of famous quote or topics in the book is that you want to look to get the right people on the bus first, and then finally you look for the right seat. And we had a team full of the right people that were on the right bus, but some of them were in the wrong seat. And we had a couple guys that were on paper, their resume was incredible. And they should have been rock stars at the roles that we hired them for, and they weren't. And it didn't make any sense because they had so much knowledge and experience. And then when we found their working genius assessment, we realized, holy cow, these people are amazing and have all this knowledge and experience, but they weren't able to fulfill the role we had them in the way we wanted them. And we were able to shift them into the right role, and it's been a game changer. 1, their incomes have gone up. 2, our teams have all expanded because we've started getting the people on the bus into the right seats. And this assessment helps you do that. So you know yourself first, and now you can surround yourself with people who are competent because you know what their genius is, you know what their competency is. But you're looking for people that have complementary gifts, complementary skill sets, complementary experiences, and complementary perspectives. So it's amazing when you get someone on your team who loves the thing that you hate. Like, think about right now how much time you spend during your working hours doing stuff that's frustrating and you don't like. And no matter how much you've whittled away some of that stuff, we all have that stuff. And there's probably some of you listening right now who are bogged down working on things that you absolutely hate, that frustrate you. You were hired to do the thing that you're a genius at. You started the company because you're a genius at that thing. But now you find yourself just swimming in frustration. You see, there are people out there, and I know it's hard for you to believe and understand, who want to do the thing that you hate. Like, I remember when we hired one of our admins, and I'm a pretty organized person, but I get really frustrated with a lot of the administrative things, and I couldn't imagine that anyone would want to do this until we hired a woman who was just a genius at it. And she wasn't just good, she loved it. And so when I started passing her off things, I felt bad asking her to help me with some of these things. Like, kind of felt like it was my duty. I was like, oh man, she's going to hate me. She loved it. And then after a while, she's like, wondered what took me so long, because she was a genius at it and she loves it. So you fill your table with people who have a mutual competence in the thing that they're great at. And you don't want to ask someone to sit in a seat that they can't fulfill and they don't love. Okay. And then I think it's really important. So you got gifts and skills are really important in our working world, but don't be afraid of people who have completely different experiences and perspectives. You want to balance out your leadership team and your decision-making ability. When people can play devil's advocate, when they can show you a different perspective. When I found that some of the best decisions we've made in business have come when, like, my partner and I or another member of the team just kind of opposed our opinion and didn't necessarily shoot it down as much as it forced the good stuff to come out. It's amazing what applied pressure against an idea can do to birth the even better idea. And so if you have the one, a team full of different perspectives and experiences, and two, maturity to sit in the tension of those opposing perspectives, you'll find some of the most amazing ideas. When I think about assembling a team, there's this great story that Napoleon Hill writes about in Think and Grow Rich, another book, add to your list. The list keeps getting longer, but your life keeps getting better. Trust me, read these books. And Henry Ford was on trial, I think the story goes, before Congress, and they were kind of attacking his intelligence or what he knew, because, automobiles, a lot of things are so new and everything. And Henry Ford says this. He's talking about the power of a team. And he's also talking about why he didn't need to be a genius at everything. He needed to do what he did well. And Ford says, I have a row of electric push buttons on my desk. And by pushing the right button, I can summon to my aid people who can answer any question I desire to ask concerning the business to which I am devoting most of my efforts. Now, will you kindly tell me why I should clutter my mind with general knowledge for the purposes of being able to answer questions when I have people around me who can supply any knowledge I require? You see, Ford knew what he did really well and what he was a genius at, and he made room at his table for people who are experts. So this guy who's a titan of industry, right, even says, I'm only successful because I surround myself with people smarter than me in these other subject matters. That's the kind of team that you want to assemble that have that level of mutual competence. And so have your team take the assessment. And then I just kind of a freebie throw out there. There's 4 kind of criteria when we're hiring in our company, and hopefully this helps someone trying to form a team right now. It's the 4 C's of hiring or building a team, and they're like a foundation of a pyramid that starts to get that's wider at the bottom and gets taller, and you have to go in this order. Okay, you can't skip the order; it has to go in this order for your team to be really good. And this has been great for our business. First is character. Okay. If they don't have good character, they don't move forward. It doesn't matter about the rest. Second is culture. Are they a fit for your culture? Third, do they have chemistry with the rest of the team? And finally, competency is the top of the pyramid. Now, I'm not saying that competency is not important. I'm just saying it's not important for me until I know that the person I'm bringing on the team checks all those other boxes. It's amazing. One of the gentlemen who's a senior leader in my company right now came to us with 0 building and development experience. 0. But he was incredible. His character was off the charts. Great culture fit. Chemistry was amazing. And he was an incredible leader. And he was hungry and thirsty to learn. And now here, 3 years later, he is running the production side of our company because of his leadership skills, and he grew in his competence. So you can grow, someone can grow in their competency in a role, but often character takes so much longer. So your 3 action steps, right? The first, you got to know yourself. So you're going to take this working genius assessment. The second is you're going to assemble a team, and hopefully you get them to take the assessment, right? And you're going to surround yourselves with people who have a variety of gifts, skills, experiences, and perspectives. And then finally, your job as a leader, like Dred says, you got to build up your team, right? It's your job to continue to help them grow as people and grow as a team. And I'll leave you with this quote that we kind of run our teams by, and is kind of the leadership onus that we put on our team, is that the leader's success is in the hands of the team, and the team's success is the leader's responsibility. You see, the leader needs the team and the team needs the leader. And so if you're leading something, you need to know that your success is sitting in the hands of your team. So it's your responsibility to build them up, to make them more powerful and more capable, because your success or failure will be dependent on their actions, their decisions, and how they perform. But then finally, you have to understand that as a leader, their success is your responsibility. The buck stops at you. And you need to take the time to equip them. You need to take the time to empower them. You need to take the time to help them work together so they can get more out of their day and more out of the team. And so the leader's success is in the hands of the team. The team's success is the leader's responsibility. So I appreciate you joining me for this episode of the Q-Source podcast. I'm excited to hear more about your discoveries when it comes to the teams you're leading and how you approach mutual competence with the teams that you're forming. We'll see you this week at the Q-Source table.